Happy new moon in Aquarius, the water bear in air sign, extraterrestrial and ethereal in its nature. It's wind-blown and ripe for a fresh start, as this is also the Lunar New Year. The start of more than one fresh cycle of being. Right now, as I channel some creative goodness for you, and I'm surrounded by some beautiful songs of the wind. In the pauses of my breath, you might hear the wind and lean into any messages that you feel called or you hear through the wind as it's sent to you through this medium, this platform. I'll guide you through a sort of creative portal, a glimpse into the wonderland of this new moon that is really journeying us inward into a space that lays bare an immense amount of clarity in the light and the dark, for it's in this season of winter, winding down towards the beginning of spring with Imbolc at the start of February. It's in this season that both light and dark begin to dance together in a more balanced state. They're feeling into that relationship and finding some semblance of balance. So both offer clarity depending on which way you lean into the dance. So if you haven't done so already, I'll invite you to come into a more meditative state. However that looks for you, it looks different in every body. It can be rigid or soft today, whatever feels of benefit. If it asks you to move intuitively as I speak, please feel free. Take a few moments here as you begin to arrive and connect to your breath. Be optimally present in every inhale and every exhale. These Aquarius new moon winds ask us to envision ourselves on the shoreline. On the shoreline, meaning we are the witness to all that we are, observing without judgment and reaction, simply allowing ourselves to be in this season of being, which is every season, but it feels especially accessible in the winter time. Lean into the feeling of simply being. Know that that is enough. Simply breathing and being aware of all that you are in your divinity. So, circling back, you're on the shoreline, witnessing all that you are. And as you look out to sea, you realize the waters are exactly as you imagined, however that looks for you. Clear and blue, or a bit gray and clouded, choppy and rough, or in such stillness. You find your breath moves with the sea, ebbing and flowing, a dance with you and with the darkness of the moon at present. You find all that you are succumbs to this dance with ease. And there is a shedding that comes with this present moon, and you can feel the gentle tugs of the moon to the sea and how that arrives in your being, your space too. You're able to feel as if a puppet on strings, the connection between you, the sea, and the moon. And the sea at present is a clear dance between spirit, the core of your being, and ego. That piece of you that holds expectations and demands and wants over needs. It's the doing over the being, the fear over the love. It's the conditioned pieces of self that often chip away over time when effort is released, really, and when being is prioritized. And with that, non-attachment, non-holding, parigraha. So the sea is a dance between spirit and ego, and one wave is massive, and that's ego when it crashes and down and returns to a melding with spirit, and then another wave rises, peaks, crashes, falls, and that's spirit, and spirit glimmers in the sunshine and embraces the clouds unlike any other waves. Take a moment here and watch this dance in your mind's eye between spirit and ego. Notice now how spirit sinks to the bottom of the seafloor and allows ego to rise, for something is beginning to stir, and the moon is pulling at the tides more so than usual, and slowly the sea begins to part right down the middle, and there are two seawalls eventually, so that spirit, which has now succumbed to the seafloor, a grounded space away from wind and wild rains, spirit takes in the entirety of the sun and moon and essences of above. Ego gave it the space that it needed and did so with ease, for there was an allowance and a trust in the spirit that allowed for ego to part the sea. For the ego, when brought into a state of awareness with you, often comes into a state and space of allowance, of fruition. The ego bends, the ego crumbles, the ego dies. And this new moon asks us to lean in to some crumbling, to some parting of the sea, so that the spirit within us all, connecting us all, can gather up some sunbeams and cosmic dust, and then return to that dance of spirit and ego with a bit more vigor as you would like, perhaps pausing the video now if you feel called to. Otherwise, as you're ready to continue on with your day or evening, I'll invite you to deepen your breath and reawaken as you see fit, trusting in yourself to be your guide, knowing that your divinity remains. No matter the moon cycle, the sways of the seas, the power of the wind, enjoy the bliss of this present reality, this present day, or it's the magic in the mundane. It's the earth's core and the earth's floor that make this life blissful and divine, and the work of dancing with spirit and ego all the more worthwhile. Happy new moon. Blessed be.